Hi everyone, it's been a while and today I'm back with a new tutorial. I'm gonna show you how you can model any scepter that you want with some simple tricks and tools. So let me walk you through the basics first. So we can just Shift A and add a mesh and circle. And you can go to edit mode with pressing tab on your keyboard. Or you can go up to here and edit mode. And now we can just extrude it and scale it down. We can select everything and E to extrude again, so we have some thickness. Next we can go to edge select by pressing 2 on our numpad, and next we can just select sharp edges, so here. And we can Ctrl B to give it a bevel, and you can scroll with your mouse wheel. So we can something like this, so we have a round shape and shade smooth. Next we can go to this icon here, so the modifiers, and add a subdivision surface modifier. Or you can just press Ctrl 2, and next we can just apply it, and Shift and A to apply it. Sorry, I mean Ctrl and A. So we need a lot of geometry in order to sculpt it. And just a quick reminder, this is not a method for making weapons for games, it's just for art purposes. And next we can go to here and sculpt mode. And here I already searched it, so we can go to this bar here and just type in snake hook. So one is elastic and the other one is just snake hook. What is very important is this Dino Topo. So we have to check this and OK. And next we have to make this number very low. So it is set to a 11 or something, and we can just bring it down. So something like 2 is good, or 3. And we also have this symmetry here, so you see this butterfly icon. And you can check everything, so it depends on what you want to achieve. And next we can just drag it out like this, so just a shape, and Ctrl Z to remove it. And let's just check this X and the Z, and we can just drag something out like this. Or just the X is also fine. And you can just give it a random shape. And you can press F to make your brush bigger or smaller. So just something like this, it doesn't really matter. And we can also rotate it, so R, X and 90. And we can go to 1 and bring this up. And you can just drag this out as much as you want. And don't forget to check this again. And you can make a shape that you like. And next we can just add a curve and a path. And we can rotate it again and bring it down. And next we have this curve properties, so we can just click this and give it some thickness. So here we have this bevel, so geometry and bevel, and we can give it some thickness like this. And we can also fill the gaps. And I also got a lot of questions for how to draw the mesh. So what I like to do is Shift A and just add a curve and Bezier curve. And edit mode, select everything and X and vertices, so we don't need these. And here on the left side we have this pen tool, so the drawing tool. And we can just draw something like this, just random shapes. And again the curve properties and bevel and depth, and you can just give it thickness. So as thick as you want, something like this, and you can just draw. And I also think it is much better to fill the gaps, so we don't have holes here. And let's go to here, select box. And we can select a point, and we can scale it down by Alt and S. So just pressing Alt and S and scaling it down like this. And now you can make it with every corner. So it depends what kind of shape you want. And sometimes it happens that everything gets thin, but I don't want this. So you can just select this curve, or you can just press L to select one separately. And right click and subdivide it a couple of times, like this. And now we can just select these points and make them smaller and as thick as we want. Let's go to modifiers again, and you can type in remesh. And now we can just make it a bit smaller. And here you have to be very careful, because if you make it very small, your PC can crash. So let's leave it at something like this. And also turn on smooth shading. And let's apply it, so here apply. And here it says you cannot apply it on a curve, so we have to right click and convert to mesh. And now it is automatically applied. And now we have all of this geometry here, which we need for sculpting. So we can go to front view again and sculpt mode. And with our snake hook, we can just sculpt it again. And don't forget your Dino Topo again. So Dino Topo and the small number. And just drag it out like this. And you can make your brush smaller or bigger by pressing F. So these are the kind of basics, how I do a scepter. And for the materials, it's also very basic. So let's go to shader editor and new. And you can also change it up here. And what I like for the HDRI is a small studio, so we can go to, let's change this back. So we can go to color and change this to environment texture. And you can open the small studio HDRI and we have a very nice lighting like this. And you can also make this transparent, so you can go to render properties and down here on the film and here you can check transparent so you don't see this background. Let's change this back to object, and under here, this material icon, here you already see, if we scroll down, we have this material library. You maybe don't have it because you have to go to edit and preferences and you have to search it either in the add-ons or extensions. And now we can just click this object and select the material that you need. So the materials that I use for my scepters are from the Ducky tutorial. So you can just search it on YouTube and I will also link it down below. I think he created a really nice material. So we can just select this material that we need from our library and the object and just click here to apply to select it. And now we have a color like this. So you can just watch this tutorial and make the same material, or you can just copy it from here. So what we need is a mix shader and a principled BSDF. And the light path, I put it into alpha, so make it more transparent. And we need a color ramp and put the color ramp, the color into the factor of the mix shader. And the layer weight and the facing into the factor. And you can put the blend to 0.2. And here I have a second color, but we don't really need it. And I put the roughness very down and the transmission all the way up, so it is transparent. You can also play around with the metallic and the roughness and everything that you need. And the emission shader, you can just put it in the second slot and the principled in the first. And then we have this material. And now we can just play around, something like this. Whatever you desire. These are pretty much the basics, and that's how you can make a scepter. So you can select everything and X to delete it. And next we can Shift S and cursor to world origin so that it's in the middle again. And let me bring this down. So let's make a basic scepter so that you can make your own. So Shift A and let's add a mesh and cube and make it smaller. You can also change it again to the viewport shading. And you can also make it a bit thinner, so S and Y. Something about this. And don't forget to apply the scale. So Ctrl A and scale. Let's go to front view and edit mode. And we can give it some loop cuts. So Ctrl R to give it a loop cut in the middle and 2 here. So you can scroll with your mouse wheel. Or maybe 3. This is good. And also 2 more. Let's go to X-ray mode and our vertex select. And we can select all of these vertices and S to scale it down, so S and X. And we can select this one and bring it down, so G and Z. And also these two, so these ones. And you can hold Shift, so this one, and holding Shift to select also the other one. And G and Z to bring it down. And let's bring these out, so S and X. And also these ones. And we can bring this a bit up so we have like a basic heart shape. Something about this. And Ctrl 2 to give it a subdivision. And shade smooth. Now we can make some adjustments so that the heart looks better. So for example here we can go to this edge select. And we can select some of these and double G to bring them in, and also here. And select everything and M by distance. So we don't need this much geometry down here. And we also have to make this sharper, so we can select one more and bring it here. Also on the other side. And X-ray mode, and we can just shape it a bit. So as an X to make it smaller. So that we have a nice hard shape. And let's also bring this a bit down, so double G. And we can select all of these down here. You can press C, so if a circle select, and right click to remove it. And S and Y. Let's also bring this a bit more to here, so double G. We can also bring this a bit up, like this. And next we can give it a loop cut in the middle, and let's go to 7, so the top view. And Alt and Z, and we can select all of these and X and vertices. Also down here. And let's go to modifiers and add a mirror. So I also use the mirror very often, so it's an important tool. And also the Y. And next we can just concentrate on the side. So we can select all of these by holding Alt and Shift. We also have to enable the clipping so that it's not going through the other mesh. So double G. We can make it wider, so as an X. Next we can make the frame, so we can Shift D to duplicate it, so we have a backup. And new collection, so M and new collection, and name it trash or backup. And we can hide this, so we don't need it. And next we can apply these modifiers, so Ctrl A to apply it, and also the subdivision. And as you can see, we have a lot of geometry, which is very important for the next step. So let's go to this edge select, and we have to find the middle, so you can go to 7 to it so that it's easier. So here in this line, so you can press Alt and just click this line here. And all of it is selected, and Shift D and P selection. So we have this line. And next we can hide this heart, and let's go to edit mode and the vertex select so we can see what is going on. And next we can extrude it, so E and S. Do something about this. And select everything, and let's give it some thickness by extruding it. And right click, shade smooth. And as you can see, something is not correct. So we can go up here and face orientation. So as you can see, it is not the right orientation. So let's go to edit mode, select everything, and Shift and N. And this should fix it. If it is not fixing your model, you can go down here and check this one. Let's turn this off, and we can go to edge select and select sharp edges. And let's give this some bevel. You can also press C so it is not intersecting. And once we have that, we can also give it a subdivision surface modifier. And let's apply it so that we have a lot of geometry to work with. And let's go to sculpting mode and our snake hook. And don't forget the symmetry and also the dino topo. And next we can just extrude it. So you can just drag it out in the shape that you like. Just something that you want to do. You can also make this a bit bigger. And once that is done, we can go back. So let's go back to object mode. And we have something like this. So this is just an example. And you can also bring back our other mesh. So the heart. And let's make this holding bar. So let's go to Shift and A and curve and the path. And let's rotate it on the y-axis. So R, Y, and 90. And bring it down, so G and Z. And we can make it a bit smaller, it is too long. And we can go to curve properties again, so what I teach you earlier. And the bevel and the depth. And we can make a little diamond shape down here. So fill caps and edit mode, and let's select this point. And Shift and S, cursor selected, and a cube. Make it smaller. And edit mode and X-ray mode by pressing Alt and Z. Or you can go up here and just press this icon on vertex select and just extruding it and scaling it down. And let's go out of X-ray mode and we can make 2 loop cuts here. And we can go to our edge select and select both of these, so holding Alt and click this edge, and the other one by holding Alt and Shift and S and Shift and Z to make it bigger. And we can select these faces here, so we can go to face select and S to make it smaller. And next we can just make some more details. So what I like to do is make these spikes, so we can just select a mesh and the cone. Let's bring it up and make it smaller. And we can go to edit mode and X-ray mode, and again just selecting these and making it smaller. So a shape that you like, and bring it down. And we can just place it here and also rotate it. And don't forget your mirror. So what we have to do, so select this heart and Shift and S, cursor selected, and select the spike and right click and set origin to 3D cursor, so the origin is in the middle for the mirror. And next we can just add a mirror modifier, and now you see the rotation is off, so we have to press Ctrl A and apply the rotation. We can just select everything and Shift and D to copy it and rotate it. And next we can also make like a shape inside, so whatever you like. You can just choose any shape. So what I like to choose is a circle and make it smaller, so we can just hide this cube. Let's name it heart and hide it. And now we can just make any shape that we like, so E and S, and select everything and give it some thickness. And we can select these edges, so select and sharp edges and Ctrl B to bevel, so we have something round. Or you can just add a mesh and a torus and Ctrl 2 to give it a subdivision, and let's apply it so we have a lot of geometry. And also a subdivision by holding Ctrl and pressing 2, or just search it here. And once that is done, we can just make any shape that we like. Shift A, and we can add a curve and a bezier curve. Let's go to edit mode and select these edges, and we can just X and vertices and a pen tool, and just drawing anything that you like, something like this for example. And we can go to curve properties and just make it some thickness. And you can also hold Shift to have a better control and fill the gaps. And let's go select this one and Alt and S to make it smaller. And here we have to rotate it a bit and bring it down. And we also have to bring these spikes a bit more forward, so G and Y. And here they are sticking out, so we can just also change this. So X-ray mode, and you can just select them. And we can go here to this gizmo and change it to normal and this arrow here. And just move it up a bit like this. So let's go to remesh and make this smaller. So something like this, and shade smooth. And right click and convert to mesh. And the same process, so sculpting mode and the snake hook. And we can give it any shape that we like. And don't forget your dino topo, it's very important. So once we have that, we can just duplicate it. And so let's go to our period key and change it to 3D cursor. And Shift D and S, Z and -1. And we can select both and Shift and D and R, Y, 90. And for making these shapes on the corner here, we can just make the same process. So we can just make a curve. So let's add a curve, bezier, and select everything and delete it. And just drawing random shapes. And now it's just the same process as before. So I remesh. So mirror modifier. What I also like to choose is a smooth. So we can tap in smooth, and you can make this a bit thinner and smoother. And bring it up. And I think the shape is pretty much done. And you can also add some details here. So on my short, I just made a shape. So cursor selected. And you can use a plane. So I selected this and extrude it down and scale it down. And we can make a loop cut, so Ctrl R and scroll with your mouse wheel, and you can select these edges and extruding them and scale it up. And select your period, so press your period key and individual origins and S and X. And E and Z and S again. So we have something like this and extrude it. And subdivision surface, and you can give this some thickness. And let's give this one more loop cut here. And we can go to select and sharp edges. We can deselect these ones by holding shift and clicking them. And S and Y. And we can also select this face. So let's hide this and E to extrude. And one more loop cut and scale it down. And one more loop cut here. And you can just adjust the shape how we like. So Ctrl B to make it sharper. And let's give this one more loop cut in the middle and S and Y. So we have something like this. And we can also make force here. So let's select this point and cursor selected and shift and A and curve and circle. And we can make this much smaller, and let's go to curve properties and make this bigger. And next we can bring back our heart shape. We can select this heart, shift S, cursor to selected, and then this one, and shift and S and selection to cursor. And now it is in the right place. And don't forget to save your file. And once we have that, we can just go to our materials. So let's change it to materials, and we can also make a new window and press T to hide this, and also the other ones, we don't need them. And we can change this to rendered view. We also have to add a camera, so shift A and camera, and Alt and R to reset rotation, and RX 90. And let's bring it back, and 0 to go to camera view. And what I like to change is here to the orthographic, so it looks much better, I think. And we also have to change the format, so we just have to switch these two, so 1080 and 1920. And you can bring it down. And what we also can do is go to this camera icon and viewport display and composition guides, and we can check the center so that you know where the center is. And we can also make this a bit bigger so we can zoom it in. And once we have that, we can add the materials. So we can add the Ducky material that we added previously, and it looks very nice. And let's also make this a bit darker. Let's also add a background, so plain, and just bring it to the back and make it small and make it bigger. And let's name it back. And what I like to do is increase the roughness a bit so it is not shiny, and just make it black. And also let's make it bigger. So we can make some adjustments, and we can adjust it here a bit more. And next we can just select everything but not the background. So we can just C and middle mouse button to remove the selection, and we can select this heart. So this heart in the middle, and Ctrl L and link materials. So now all of the scepter has the same material, but I think it looks better if you have some variations. So we can select this chrome and remove it, and new, and we can make the metallic all the way up and the roughness a bit down, so we can have some variations like this. Or what you can do is just select this material, and let's go back to this Ducky material, and you can copy it so you can make a new material and name this chrome. We can make it metallic so it has a different kind of vibe, and we can also change the color and make something that we like. And I think it looks also better if we change this one here, so let's change it to this chrome. I think it looks also better if we make these in the middle much brighter, so we can select these and make a new material. And here we can just adjust the strength by something like, maybe something like 7 is okay. And we can select all of these. So let's select all of these other parts in the middle. and these spikes. And lastly, the one with the brighter material, and Ctrl L and link materials. And now it is much brighter in the middle, and you can bring back the heart. So I think this is basically it. So this is pretty much my method for making a scepter like this. And I think it is pretty easy and not too difficult to make. And that's pretty much it, guys. And if you want to animate it, I showed it in my other scepter tutorial. So you can just watch that and animate your scepter. So it makes like a spinning motion or just like a simple motion. And please leave a like and subscribe, that would help me so much with growing my channel. And that's pretty much it for this tutorial. I hope you liked it and it could help you a bit in creating your own scepter. And thank you for watching, and see you in the next tutorial. Bye!